are live! So I don't know whether we have any viewers straight away or whether it's going to take you a little bit of a minute to kind of come and join us on this webinar, but whenever you are joining us, welcome. And today I'm here with a colleague of mine, or a friend, a colleague. It's how do you say it when you're self-employed? A colleague, a business friend of mine called Daniela Uzlan, and we are going to talk about how you can benefit from being in a mastermind group. Now, if you're watching this on Google Plus and you would like to ask us a question, it's really easy. There's a Q&A button on the side of your screen, and what you can do is press this Q&A button, and that's the way to interact with us. So even if you're watching on YouTube, just go over to Google Plus, because that's the way to interact with us. You can ask questions, or you can just say hello, so that we know you're there. Although usually it takes people sort of a few minutes to come and join, so I usually start off quite slowly. Right. Since we are recording this, might as well get going. What do you think, Daniela?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, well, let's do it. Let's go. Okay. It's always really funny, by the way, because you can see at the bottom there's like a little viewer count. So I'm just waiting for that viewer count to go up and actually see, hey, we got one! And all that. I love that. I love seeing people actually watching this live because it's so exciting. Okay, so just to recap, welcome to the Mastermind Group webinar. I'm here with Daniela Uzlan from DanielaUzlan.com. I'm pronouncing it wrong, right?
Yeah, Daniela Uzlan.
Daniela Uzlan. She corrected us last time we were in a mastermind. So Daniela Uzlan from DanielaUzlan.com. We haven't got any slides today, so it's just our lovely faces. And we've just had our first hello from Jessica. So hey, Jess, got a fellow mastermind lady. Okay, so there are a few different sections that I'm just going to run through today. And ultimately, the point of the webinar is to just help share the benefits of being in a mastermind group and how we've experienced it, because we're in a group together. We've met 3 times now, or 4?
I think 3. Yeah,
3. And we've been running for about half a year, and it has been extremely beneficial. It is a wonderful thing to be doing. It's really fun, and I just really can't wait to just do it. Do more of this. So we're here to help share the benefits, to talk about being in a mastermind, and to share with you how you can start your own mastermind group and how you can benefit from that. So first of all, what is a mastermind group? It's not, before I started joining a mastermind group, I thought, because it has this sort of grandiose name, I kind of felt that a mastermind group would be a little bit like a bit like a college sorority or something like that, or fraternity, where everybody has to like do an initiation ritual, and everybody has to be this kind of high-level amazing person, and there's this big like Masonic, like everybody prays or something like that. And it isn't like that at all. We have experienced a mastermind as a focused and supportive discussion group of people who have something in common, who are working perhaps in the same industry, or who are running a similar type of business, and who want to share their goals with others and gain support. It's really important in a mastermind group to establish sort of mutual trust and really know each other and know what path everybody is on. And the way our meetings work is we run through a pretty clear agenda, so we know step by step what is happening. We're keeping the group quite manageable, so it's not a group of 10 or 20 people. There's actually only 5 of us. And we're also quite keen on maintaining commitment from everybody. So my first question is my first question to you, Daniela, is what have you experienced in terms of masterminds yourself? Because I know that you've joined 2. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was in one here in Miami, and it was more of a kind of cobbled together mastermind group from meetup.com. So my friend Rachel started it, and I actually met her by joining the mastermind group. And it was just whoever found it on Meetup could come, and then we eventually 4 people committed to continuing to come on a regular basis, and we actually met every single week. And it was really great for a little while, and then it kind of fizzled out. And I think the reason it fizzled out is because we didn't know each other beforehand, and we weren't really on the same path or have the same goals enough that it meant that we were able to help each other. And I think it also fizzled out because we didn't have clear expectations and rules, and there wasn't the sense of accountability. Mm-hmm. So, and then there's this one, and I think the other reason why the other one fizzled out is because we were trying to meet every single week, and I felt like that was probably overkill.
That's intense.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I also have an accountability partner I talk on the phone with every single week. So doing those 2 things and this mastermind group was just too much for me. And then this group, which has been really awesome. And I think the reason why this one has been a little more successful is because you handpicked each person in the group, and you knew that we would all be able to help each other and be a good and cohesive group. And you also did a lot of expectation setting in the beginning, so that was great.
Just to perhaps take a step back and explain how our mastermind works, because there's something really important that I think you're saying is you've got a local one in Miami, which means you kind of hang out and meet up with people who you are local to, and you actually meet up face to face. Whereas our mastermind, I think, is really special because we're all online, and I'm sort of our European outpost, and I did pull the group together, and I desperately tried to find someone in Europe to join us. I honestly did. I asked 5 or 6 people in Britain and Germany, and I said, I don't want to be the only Brit, German anyway. Or the only European, but I did contact people, and our mastermind, the one that we're on, which is kind of called Online Entrepreneur Circle Party Hangout thing. I organized it by contacting everyone, and like Daniela said, I was very clear in kind of how I imagined it all working out. So I thought about how the meetings would run. I put together a sample agenda sort of thing. I sort of put something together to say, this is how I want this to run. I actually put some rules in before it even started. I felt like a complete and utter army general pulling it all together. But what it did result in was that what we've created is an online mastermind group where we meet up through Skype or Google Hangouts in video chat, and it's a great experience. We don't have to be local to each other. We manage to work across time zones from the East Coast of the the West Coast of the USA to the West Coast of Britain, which is pretty impressive. And we are a confidential, really supportive group of people who have advice for each other. And kind of, to me, the hallmarks of a great mastermind group, no matter where you are looking, are really commitment, authenticity, and structure. So, Daniela, how have you experienced the benefits of having a structure in your mastermind and of keeping in touch between meetings?
Well, I think that as a business person that works for myself, a freelancer, an entrepreneur, I feel alone a lot, and having this group really makes me feel like I'm not alone, both just in general, but also if I feel like if I'm struggling with something, or if I feel like I failed in some way, it's nice to have people to talk to and be like, oh my God, this happened, and have people say, it's okay. And then also learning from people who are further in the process. Sorry, one second. My Roomba just turned on, so I need to turn it off.
Okay. I'm just going to tie this over a little bit.
Sorry.
It's fine.
The Roomba always
You just missed my dancing.
on a video chat. I don't know why. But it's an awesome thing to have. Anyway, so I think that learning from people who are maybe further in the process or further in certain aspects of the process, like one of the people in our group, Kathy, she's really, and you have also done courses already, and you have built your lists more than I have, so I can really learn from you guys. And then just getting unstuck. Like last time we met, which was a few weeks ago, I had a product, or I was trying to get a product out, and I was like really stuck in the process, and you guys really helped me just by just saying, just get it out there and it'll be fine. And that same day I got it out on my website. So it was really awesome in that way, that it really helps me to take action and have the accountability. So
I think there's something in there that's really the authenticity aspect of having a good group, and that's a sign, I think, of having a good group, is that everyone who is participating should feel encouraged to be honest about where they're at. So what we're not trying to create, and what you're not trying to be in a mastermind, is this sort of group of like a networking meetup where everybody is sort of there trying to pitch their business, trying to outdo each other. We're not in this group to look for customers. We are in the group to really share our problems and our worries if we have them. And sometimes you can also, because we meet up every 2 months, you can see everybody's up and downs, which I found really interesting. You sometimes have you have somebody coming and feeling very discouraged. Like last time I felt like such a loser. And to make myself so vulnerable and really tell other people, oh my God, I tried this thing and it didn't work, and what am I going to do? That was a big thing. It's a big thing to admit, because when you're working for yourself, you haven't got colleagues, so nobody can really see you mess up. But sometimes it's really helpful to talk about it. And like you were saying about your product, Daniela's product is awesome, is extremely well researched, is based on something that she has tried and tested that worked, and yet there is all this hesitation of actually putting it out there. And it's been, when you're in this group of sort of 5 people and 4 of us are saying, that sounds great, that you know what you got to do. You just get that feeling of you are doing the right thing. And it's the same as perhaps sometimes you want to put your prices up, or you want to get rid of a customer that annoys you and that just doesn't work out for you, or you just want to do something that scares you, where you feel like, oh my God, maybe this could damage me so much. It's really great to be able to get 4 people's perspectives, and every one of those 4 people has your best interest at heart, and is kind, is judgment-free, and is focused on your success. To me, this has been huge. Now, how do you perceive commitment, Daniela, in terms of a positive mastermind group?
I think that everyone shows up when they say they're going to show up, and everyone participates, and both is willing to be vulnerable and open about their process, but also really is able to listen. And one thing I love about our group is that there's no one who tries to dominate the conversation. So I think commitment is both commitment to show up and be there, but also commitment to follow the rules and to be there to support other people. And not just, as you said, it's not a place to promote yourself. It's really a place to connect with other people on the same journey. So.
Yeah. In a way, it's almost a place to do the opposite of promoting yourself, because you really, it really does, we really do show sort of the back end of our businesses, and we do really show the bits where it's like, I don't know what to do. And it's not, if you wanted to promote yourself, you would say, I know exactly what to do. Whereas in a good mastermind group, you're happy, I think, to open up and say, okay, guys, what do you think? What would you do in my situation? That's been really, really helpful. So the commitment, like Daniela was saying, is really important. Just a few examples of how I tried to build commitment into our mastermind and how I felt this works really, really well is, number one, we have a chairperson, so to speak, or a moderator for every meeting, and we change the leading person every single time. We have a preset agenda, and I worked ahead throughout the whole year, set sample times and dates, and assigned a new person to every different meeting so that they know, okay, this is mine to organize, and the responsibility is up for that person to set up all the technical surroundings, to invite everybody else, and to make sure each and every one of those members knows when and where we're going to meet up. And for us, because we are online, that usually means when and where. It's just, make sure it's not in anybody's night time or really, really early morning. Although Kathy recently told us she gets up at 5 in the morning. Ow! Ow! But and also, make sure people know whether they're meant to be on Skype, etc. Number two is that we, in the original agenda and invitation I shared, I made it clear that, or I tried to make it very clear that our basic rule is if you miss 2 meetings in a row, that's the end of your commitment, so that you don't have to worry anymore about not making the meetings, because basically we're going to try and fill your spot. We also started out with more people planned into the mastermind group than we've ended up with, so we did have somebody drop out because she couldn't make the meetings. However, we actually felt that was beneficial, and we didn't end up filling the slot because we had the tendency to run on so long on our meetings. And this is another thing, is how do you feel about committing 2 to 3 hours of your schedule? For me personally, I feel it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. And I also think in terms of the number of people, I feel like 5 people, 4 to 6 people is probably ideal, because once you get to more people, that's a longer time commitment. But I think 2 to 3 hours is really worthwhile, and especially since it's only once every 2 months, I think it's definitely doable. So yeah.
And on the practical side, we arrange ourselves. We've got preset dates that we sort of aim for, but every single time we go through the process of doodle polling each other. Do you want to say something about the process of organizing the webinars, or not webinars, but the Hangout meetings?
Sure. So actually the next one is mine. So I haven't actually done this yet, but the person who's organizing it uses Doodle. Is it doodle.com?
Doodle.com.
They suggest like 5 to 6 dates with 3 times on each date, and then we all vote on when we can make it. So we know that everyone can make it on the day that we choose, and I think that's also been effective in getting people to show up each time, because we make sure that every meeting works for everyone. And then the person who is in charge creates an agenda that has the order. In our mastermind groups, we share resources, we do a status update, and then we basically do a hot seat where each of us talks more in depth about what we're going through. And then what else? We do a elevator.
What do you need?
What do you need? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, which is the kind of the idea is really that no matter what you need, if you just want to say, I need a few more customers, or I need some people to talk to about this, or I need some support on this in the coming week, or I need somebody to, I don't know, help me plan my wedding, or God knows what. No matter what you need, just put it out there, because then you've got 4 people who know you, who trust you, and who know, what you're up to and what you're working on.
Exactly. Like one time I said I need Facebook groups where I can share my blog posts, and then Kathy sent me a bunch of links to a bunch of Facebook groups that she's been in, as an example. So anyway, the person who's organizing it has an agenda on Google Docs that says who is speaking first with each section and keeps us on track. And then one month I actually took notes throughout the meeting on that document, just so that we would have a record of everything we talked about. And then the person who's running it also just calls on the different people to speak, and that's about it.
So you actually get a good experience of guiding meetings. If you're not used to that or anything like that, I think it's a really good experience just to practice kind of herding people around and guiding meetings. That's we are literally herding people halfway across the world, which is a great experience and really good fun. Now, I just briefly want to go into, so if you are listening to this and you're really excited about the idea of joining a mastermind and you're thinking, oh gosh, yeah, that sounds exactly like what I've been looking for, I really wanted to go into the different ways that you can find a mastermind group. And I also want to invite you to use that question and answer. We've got a lot of people who've already said hi. Jess, Katie has said hi, Stephen has said hi, and Elfin, hello. We're really grateful that you're listening to us talk about this, because we do want to spread the message that masterminds are awesome. And really, you're invited to just submit your questions, and we will take all questions. So no matter what you're interested in, if we haven't covered it yet, we will cover it if you submit your question through the Q&A app. Now, where to find a mastermind? There are basically two types. We've already said that you can find online and offline events these days, and my experience has been online only, and I have had a really great experience. It wouldn't stop me from looking for a mastermind if I felt that locally I had a good group, but partly for me it was I wanted to set up something regular with these people that I already guessed or assumed it would work with, and I was lucky because I guessed you guys right, and you're fantastic. So there are two ways of doing this. Number one is peer organized, which basically means just start one yourself. And the way to do that is look for between 4 and 6 people that you think you have something in common with, no matter if you're working on blogging, no matter if you're working on organizing a certain life event, or if you're working towards a specific goal, or if you're just working in the same industry, or perhaps you're just all interested in online business and selling stuff online or offline. So no matter what it is, I think look for between 4 and 6 people that have something in common and that are working towards similar goals and are on the same path, because I think we both, and I've heard this from other members in our mastermind, we feel great because we feel like we're sharing our path and everybody else is kind of on the same path, even if they're a bit further or a bit, what's the opposite of further? Less behind. Yeah, a bit behind. Now, once you've got your kind of people in your sites, create an idea of clear rules, which means just think about how you, in your dreams, would like the meetings to go, and then write that down and put in an agenda. And in our documents, I actually put a lot of rules, such as we're not going to talk about what this big guru is saying unless it's really specific and it's actually helpful, because I was sick of everybody mentioning a lot of guru people that you have to follow. When and I really wanted to say we're not here to follow people. We're here to be ourselves, and you don't get to show off about how much money you're making. It doesn't matter, because that's the point is not to be discouraging to everybody else. And similar rules, and then there was the rule about if you miss 2 meetings, you're essentially out. And create a schedule. So give people, think about whether you want this to happen once a month, twice a month, bi-weekly, well, that's twice a month, or once a week. So really think about how long is a meeting likely to be, and how often can people put that time into it. Ensure the expectations are clear. And then approach people and ask them if they would be in, and ask whether they would be interested. And you might be surprised, because I certainly was, because people were really lovely about it and were really keen, and they took it seriously. That was a big thing. So I did have people declining, and it was always because they didn't feel they'd be able to commit the time. And that's the way to start a mastermind yourself. Now, there is a second option, and that is the guide organized mastermind. And I think this is a really, really interesting, new, up-and-coming, I'm certainly interested in organizing masterminds for other people, kind of way of doing this. And that's when you have somebody who is perhaps a coach, a guide, or experienced in a specific area. So, for example, Daniela is very focused on great writing and blogging. And I can totally imagine you organizing something like this, or people looking for you. So if people have looked to you for advice on a specific area and you've got 5 or 6 people together, why not ask them, do you want to make this a regular thing? Or look for a person and say to them, hey, do you organize a mastermind? Because I'm really interested in this. So look to people who you admire, who you know teach, coach, or mentor others, and see if they have a group going already, and you might be surprised. Now, there are a lot of masterminds out there that do take regular payments. And I think since we can both offer a perspective on the effort that it takes to pull this together and keep it running, what is your perspective, Daniela, on the financial aspects? I would now absolutely pay for a mastermind.
I would pay. I think if it was a group that was really pursuing something that I wanted to pursue and that I didn't know other people who were on the path already, I would definitely pay. And I think that I'm really thankful to you for bringing all of us together and doing it. And I can imagine that some of the people watching this might not be able to think of 4 to 6 people that can make this kind of commitment. So and I also think I wanted to touch it onto what you were saying about the gurus. I think a lot of the gurus have mastermind groups that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. I would not pay for that because I think that you're paying a premium just because of the name. But I think that if a coach that you really trust is starting something and they're asking for a few $100s, I would definitely pay that. So
I mean, part of the reason that our mastermind is free is because instead of asking for time, I ask for the commitment of everybody to take on the administration and the planning of a meeting every single time they're running it, and otherwise it would take up a lot more time.
That's true. We kind of pay by organizing our meeting is how we are paying. I mean, if you want to think of it that way.
Yes, I agree. And there is something to be said, though, for putting your money into something that you do want to commit to. And like I said, I was lucky to find 4 other women who are ready to really commit to this. And every single time we come out of the meetings, I feel like the energy and the positivity that we feel, it pays, it pays it back so much. And everybody kind of has this boost of sharing what they're doing and, doing things. And certainly for Daniela, it was, you put your product live. And for me, it helped me really work through things that didn't go well and just gain a completely different perspective. And, having people say to me, you're being really hard on yourself is just helpful because it gives you that courage to keep going and try again. So paying for this with money pays back with the feeling of not being alone. It pays back with this energy, and it kind of also makes you turn up because same as when you pay for, well, gym membership is a bad example, but we've recently committed to paying for these really awful, painful, marginally expensive exercise classes, but because I prepaid for the next 4 of them, I know I'm so much more likely to go. So it's about putting your money where your mouth is.
That's true. I also wanted to say the reason how we all met is because we went to a conference together. So we actually did pay to be in a place with a lot of like-minded people, and that's what this mastermind came out of. So I do think that if you don't want to pay to just join a mastermind group, but you don't know people that are in the same place as you, you might want to go to a conference or find some other way of building the community first, and then our mastermind group arose out of that. So, yeah.
That's a very good point. Okay, so I think we're at the end of our program. Do you have anything to add, or anything that we've forgotten, Daniela? And really just a last invitation, because this is your last chance to ask a question. If you have a question, if you have any particular ideas, or if you just want to share your own ideas about, sort of areas in your life where you would like to join a mastermind, or where you want more like-minded people, it'd be quite cool to, discuss this with people who are watching the webinar.
Yeah, I'd love to answer questions. But I also wanted to say I do have an accountability partner that I talk to on a weekly basis. And I think that if you don't know enough people to start a mastermind group yet, you might want to start by just having one person that you touch base with regularly, and then maybe you can grow it from there and just kind of gather more people to you. So
that's an excellent idea. That's very interesting. I'm in this situation locally where I live. I know a few people who are self-employed, but I think people sometimes are very used to the idea of the networking meeting. And in a networking meeting, you kind of come in and show off a lot. Whereas to me, that always makes me really uncomfortable, and I wanted this kind of area of where we are more vulnerable. And that's not something I've found in more than like 2 or 3 people. And I think sometimes the more people you put together, the more you feel at risk of I'm not being perfect and never having another customer again, I guess. So the idea of the accountability partner is fantastic, and it can bridge that gap between local and online, really. Elfin's got a question, so I'm just going to read it out to you. I'm just going to press select. So when you watch this back later on, you will be able to skip ahead to this question if everything works well. Should members all be of the same level, at the same stage, business-wise? What is the ideal mix? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that it's good for people to be around the same place, like maybe not a complete beginner with someone who has been in business for a really long time, although now that I'm saying that, I'm like, well, Kathy's been doing websites for like 15 years, and I've been doing this for 4 years. So I do think that there's room for, I don't think everyone should be in the exact same place, because you want to learn from people, and you want to, like, sometimes the beginners can help teach the more expert people and vice versa. So I don't think everyone should be at the same place. But I do think that maybe everyone should have a certain level of understanding about the process. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think
I think everybody should know what they're talking about and should know what you're talking about. So you sort of need enough experience to understand where somebody else is coming from. But like Daniela said, I agree. I don't think you need to all be at the same level. And when I put this mastermind together, well, I didn't know everybody's businesses inside out, but I feel that the ones of us who have been in business sort of doing a very, very similar thing for a long time actually benefit sometimes from the slightly less, and by slightly less I mean not 10 years of all like business, slightly less experienced people, because it actually makes us a little less risk averse, and it actually gives us that impetus of saying, yeah, just go for it, or why not just try this out, and you get this sort of fresh view, and you don't need somebody to be the most experienced person in the room to give you a fresh view. So at the same time, if you are that complete beginner, you want somebody there who is a little bit further along than you, so that they might know pitfalls that you haven't even thought about.
Yeah, I think like the experts can learn from the beginners, because I think sometimes when you become an expert, you forget what it's like for your audience, and so they can help you, or your clients, so the beginners can help you remember what it's like to not be where you are, but the experts can, bring their expertise and all of that to the table as well.
And we don't, certainly I don't feel like in our mastermind group anyone is labeling anybody else. And I think it's more about attitude than anything else. It's about being open to learning and open to the fact that there are different ways of viewing things. And to be honest, to me, it feels like I look forward to getting 4 people's views, even if they don't quite know what I'm talking about. So certainly, for example, even if somebody hasn't done the whole like online course blah 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 thing, it doesn't matter to me because they still understand where I've got my hang-ups emotionally, and actually I get some really helpful views that I wouldn't otherwise get from anywhere.
I do think too that it's more important the type of person who's open and honest and respectful and has a sense of humor. To me, that describes everyone in our mastermind group more so than worrying about where they are in their process.
Yeah, I think sense of humor is really funny, and it reminds me of what Jess was saying last time after our meetup. She came back and she said, "Oh, I really enjoyed Daniela's calming influence and Kerstin's sort of snarky sense of humor." But my sense of humor, and Kathy, who's very exuberant, Brenda, who is very matter of fact, and Jess, who's just like, I love the positivity, and who is location independent. So each of us, even though we're not at the same places in our business, we are, I guess we're all kind of females at a different stage in our life. So I think you need to get the mix right between having something in common, but having enough variety, Elfin. And I think it's just a case of trying it out and working, if organizing your own mastermind, I think it's really important you will have a gut feeling for whether the chemistry is going to be right. And if you're joining another one, I think I would just make sure that you've got an out and just try out a meeting and see how you feel afterwards. And if it's right, you're gonna know, you're gonna feel right about it. Okay. Yeah. Got a second question from Katie, which I'm going to select here, and that is, could you do business with the people in your mastermind, or should you keep it separate? So I understand this as, could you, would it be okay to ask them to buy your thing, or, I guess refer customers to you, etc. To me, while at the same time, I don't expect anybody ever to give me money, and I don't look for customers in the mastermind group. I look for advice. I don't look for customers. At the same time, if somebody could refer somebody to me, I would be more than grateful, but it's perhaps about setting the expectation. I don't know. At the same time, if I needed a website building, or if I needed some blogging advice, I know I would be able to ask you, Daniela. But you might then do a skill share, or or you might decide to do things differently. So I don't know. I don't think it would stop me. What do you think?
I don't think so. I feel like this might be coming from a place of like you don't do business with your friends, because what if something goes wrong? But I don't really agree with that. I think that if someone has integrity and is good at what they do, I would definitely work with them, regardless of whether in their mastermind group or not. And I would refer people to you for coaching, or to, Brenda for book editing, or so I definitely think that if I don't like the whole like networking group BNI type of model where you have to give referrals and you have to build up points by giving referrals. I don't think that is comfortable, but I don't think that it's wrong to give referrals to people in your mastermind group if you really respect what they do and know that they can help someone. So
yeah, and I think collaborating is a whole different kettle of fish as well. So you don't have to buy from each other, but I mean, Katie, I'm a big believer in collaborating, and that's partly why I've got Daniela on my webinar with me, because it just makes it so much better for me to have this other person here with me. And I think you get to know each other's strengths, you know each other's product, and you just enhance each other. So I know that like Kathy, who is in our mastermind, has been a guest speaker on my online course, and I know, Daniela, you have been a guest speaker on Kathy's online course. So I think there's a whole different level that it opens up, but you're mostly colleagues, and I think it opens up the biggest level that it opens up in my mind is the opportunity for collaboration.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm really glad that we're doing this together, and I would definitely collaborate with you or anyone else in the group again. So yeah.
So you can just kind of put your ideas out there and, you know, see kind of what emerges. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, my feeling in terms of doing business with friends has always been that I do want to not necessarily charge money, but at least do a skill exchange. But that is for me personally, because I want to feel like I'm getting myself into this sort of pro mode and focus really on that person and put that person first and not think about like how I'm going to benefit from this. If somebody is working with me and they're hiring me because they want support, I want to be able to support them in a way that makes it about them, really, emotionally, and it makes it about their needs, which is why somebody might give you money. But at the same time, that's not how each of us works. That's not how everybody works. It kind of depends on what kind of service you're providing as well. And yeah. I think each situation has its own requirements. So my gut feeling is, Katie, you could absolutely do business with people in your mastermind. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
And that is that. Right. So we've had question 1, question 2. Are there any more questions, people? I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and otherwise we are finishing up pretty swiftly and on time. Just to let you know, you can go to my website, kerstinhammes.com, which is KERSTINHAMMES.com/masterminds, in plural, masterminds. And there I have put together today's fact sheet for you, which is essentially just a little one-pager that you can just download, print out, and you'll have the webinar. You don't have to rewatch. You've got the kind of basics of our little session all in one go. I think that's a really great thing to be able to offer. And I know, Daniela, you'll be sharing it as well with your people.
Yeah, it's a great little fact sheet, and I think it can really help people. And being in a mastermind group is really helpful, and it can really make a huge difference in your business. So I think that you should definitely join one, and I'm glad that Kerstin did this call to teach everyone about it. So yeah,
yes,
thank you for having me on.
I really love it, and I think it's brilliant to be able to share how well this has gone.
Yeah. It's been really awesome, and I'm sure it'll be even awesomer going into the future. So, yeah.
That's right. Well, you're organizing the next one, so we'll put that up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it great. So yeah.
Whee! Okay. Right. Thank you all for watching, and I'm gonna say goodbye. Sign off for today. That was it for how to benefit from mastermind groups.
Bye, guys.
Bye.